The day my ventilator started screaming at me wasn't the day I almost died. It was the day our HOA president decided she was the queen of electricity and thought she could pull the plug on my life over $150. Yeah, you heard that right. A grown woman with a clipboard and a superiority complex cut the power to a house with a guy on life support because she said we owed the HOA a fine. And believe me, if you think that sounds insane now, just wait until you hear what happened next. I've been living with a ventilator for about 2 years now. It's not exactly the lifestyle they show you in inspirational hospital commercials. No slow-motion sunsets, no violin music in the background. Just machines. Lots of machines. A ventilator that breathes with me every second of the day. Feeding pumps. Monitors. A small army of blinking lights and quiet mechanical hums that keep my body doing the things it forgot how to do on its own. Our house sounds a little like a spaceship cockpit 24 hours a day. Steady mechanical breathing, little electronic chirps, the low whir of equipment doing its job. And all of it depends on one thing. Electricity. No power, no machines. No machines, well, you can probably do the math. Now, we're not careless about that. My parents installed a backup battery system that can keep everything running for about 8 hours if the grid goes down. It's saved us a few times during storms. But storms, at least, don't have personalities. Storms don't carry clipboards. Storms don't move in 6 houses down and decide they're in charge of everyone's life. That honor belongs to Karen. Karen moved into our neighborhood about 6 months before all this happened. And the moment she arrived, you could tell she had plans. The kind of person who walks into a quiet place and immediately starts measuring things, lawns, fences, mailbox paint, the exact angle someone's garbage can faces the street. Within weeks, she'd worked her way onto the HOA board and somehow into the presidency. You know the type. Perfect hair. Perfect lawn. Perfect smile that somehow never reaches the eyes. At first it was just the usual HOA nonsense. Letters about grass being a 1/4 inch too tall. Complaints about someone's garden gnome violating neighborhood aesthetics. Passive-aggressive newsletters that read like a kindergarten teacher scolding 30 homeowners. Annoying but manageable. The thing is, from the very beginning the HOA, including Karen, knew about my condition. My parents didn't hide it. They gave them documentation. Medical notes. Even had my nurse explain the equipment and why uninterrupted electricity wasn't optional in our house. It was survival. Everyone nodded. Everyone said they understood. Looking back now, I think Karen understood just fine. She just didn't care. The trouble started on a Tuesday afternoon. My dad had just finished mowing the lawn. It was hot, one of those sticky summer days where the air feels like it's sitting on your shoulders. He parked the mower at the edge of the driveway while he went inside to shower. Normal thing. 10 minutes. Maybe 20. But apparently that was long enough. Because before the mower had even cooled down, there was a knock at the door. My mom opened it, and there stood Karen. Clipboard in hand. Perfectly ironed blouse. And that expression, the one that says she's already decided she's right. She pointed at the lawn mower like it was a dead raccoon on the sidewalk. That, she said, is a violation of neighborhood aesthetic standards. My mom blinked. Explained my dad had literally just finished mowing and would move it in a few minutes. Karen didn't budge. Rules are rules, she said, in that syrupy tone people use when they're enjoying being difficult. And this is your second warning this month. Second warning. The first one, by the way, was because our trash bins were visible from the street for an extra hour. My mom just nodded, apologized, and closed the door. Peacekeeping, you know. But Karen wasn't done. The next day a letter arrived. Official HOA violation notice. Fine, $150. Reason, unauthorized exterior modification. Now that one confused everybody. We hadn't modified anything. So my dad called Karen. Turns out the modification was a small medical alert sign next to our front door. A simple sign letting paramedics know there's a ventilator patient in the house. It's there so if something happens, first responders know immediately what they're dealing with. Safety measure. Nothing fancy. Karen's explanation was ice cold. All signage must be approved by the architectural committee. My dad tried explaining again, the medical need, the emergency risk, the paperwork they already had. Karen's response? Submit a request and we'll consider it. Let me tell you, that was the moment my parents started realizing something wasn't right. It wasn't about rules. It was about control. So they decided to attend the next HOA meeting that Friday and clear things up in person. Talk to the other board members. Show the medical documentation again. Reasonable solution, right? Yeah. Karen had other plans. Friday afternoon, the day before the meeting, everything exploded. I was in my room resting. My nurse Sarah was checking my vitals, adjusting the monitors like she always does. My mom was in the kitchen. The house was quiet. Machines humming. Normal. Then suddenly, beep, beep, beep. The ventilator alarm started screaming. And when you rely on a machine to breathe, that sound hits you like lightning. Sarah spun around instantly. "Power's out," she said. The backup battery kicked in, but it brought its own alarms with it, a loud warning tone that filled the room like a countdown clock. My mom ran in, panic already written across her face. "What happened?" Sarah checked the panel. "The main breaker's off," she said. But then she frowned. "No, wait. Not the breaker. The whole line." My dad bolted outside. And that's when he saw her. Karen. Standing next to the utility box on the side of our property. The panel door open. A lock in her hand. And a smug little smile like she'd just finished watering her roses. My dad told me later that something inside him snapped right then. "What did you do?" he yelled. Karen didn't even flinch. She spoke like she was reading a parking ticket. "Your account has an outstanding balance of $150 in HOA fines." Then she clicked the lock shut on the utility box. Per HOA bylaws, services may be suspended for delinquent accounts. My dad just stared at her. "Services?" he said. "This is the city power line. You can't shut this off." Karen folded her arms. "Our bylaws are very clear. Pay your fines and your services will be restored." My dad tried again, louder this time. "My son is on life support. You are endangering his life." Karen shrugged. Actually shrugged. "That isn't the HOA's responsibility," she said. Then she turned around and walked back toward her perfectly trimmed lawn. Inside the house, the anxiety was suffocating. The battery said we had 7 hours left. 7 hours sounds like a lot until every machine beep reminds you it's counting down. Sarah was already on the phone with 911. Paramedics were on the way. The power company dispatched a crew, but they said it might take up to an hour. My dad, though, wasn't waiting. See, my dad's the kind of guy who always knows someone who knows someone. He grabbed his phone and called an old friend who runs a large event company, the kind that powers concerts and festivals. He explained the situation. 10 minutes later his phone rang again. "Help's coming," his friend said. About 45 minutes later our quiet suburban street heard something it had never heard before. A diesel engine the size of a small thunderstorm. A massive semi-truck turned the corner. Not a utility van. Not a repair truck. An industrial generator the size of a small house. The kind that powers music festivals. It backed down our driveway with a roar that rattled windows up and down the block. The ground practically vibrated. Thick power cables were unrolled across the lawn like giant snakes. And right on cue Karen came storming out of her house. Her face looked like someone had just insulted her begonias. "What is the meaning of this?" she screamed over the engine noise. "You can't park a commercial vehicle here." 2 technicians hopped out and started connecting cables to the house. My dad walked over slowly with the calmest smile I've ever seen on him. "This," he said, pointing at the generator, "is our new power source." Karen's mouth dropped open. "You can't do that. The noise. The fumes. That's an HOA violation." My dad leaned in a little closer. "Call the police," he said quietly, "and explain to them why you cut power to a man on life support." Right then flashing lights appeared at the end of the street. 2 police cars. And the power company truck. Neighbors were already peeking through curtains and standing on sidewalks. The officers listened to my dad's explanation. Then Karen's less convincing version. One officer walked over to the utility box. Looked at the lock. Then looked at Karen. "Ma'am, did you put this lock on the public utility box?" Karen lifted her chin proudly. "Yes." The officer sighed. "That's felony tampering with public utilities." He paused. "And reckless endangerment." Then he said the most beautiful words I've ever heard. "Ma'am, you're under arrest." The smirk disappeared instantly. Handcuffs clicked. Karen was escorted to the patrol car, still muttering about HOA bylaws like they were the Constitution. The power company cut the lock off in about 10 seconds. Electricity came roaring back. The generator crew packed up their cables. Their lead tech gave my dad a thumbs up. "Your friend said it was an emergency." Then the giant truck rumbled away, leaving the whole neighborhood staring. The next day, the HOA board sent a formal apology. Karen was removed as president immediately. The fines disappeared. And rumor has it she sold her house and moved out a few weeks later quietly in the middle of the night. Our street went back to normal. But around here, people still talk about the day the giant generator showed up. Because sometimes bullies think they hold all the power, until someone reminds them what real power actually looks like. In our case, about 1.2 megawatts of diesel thunder parked right outside Karen's front lawn. Now I'm curious what you think. Did Karen deserve what happened, or did things go too far? If you've ever dealt with an HOA power trip like this, tell me your story. Because sometimes the line between rules and justice gets real blurry, and I'd love to hear where you think it should be.